Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 6 of Dope Discussions. I have a very good friend here with me. This is Iowa Rockwell. We've known each other for, I don't know, man, like 7, 8, 9 years at this point. I don't know. It's been a long time,
It's
but
been a couple of years, yeah.
it's good to have you on the show. Thank you for
Thank you,
joining me.
man.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about like the history behind your name and kind of like how you got into this industry.
The name, man. Well, I've been doing this, man, 20 years now.
Oh
I
wow.
think, I
Okay.
think, yeah, I think we started about 20 years ago. The name is super simple. As an artist, right? We go through we try to figure out what name works, what name
Yep.
sticks, and even then, when we figure it out, it's like, nah, I don't know. So I went through a whole bunch of different names, but I stuck on Iowa Rockwell. It's real simple. It's just where I grew up at.
Oh,
I grew
sweet.
I grew
Okay.
up on the cross streets of Rockwell and Iowa. Um,
Nice.
so as I got older, I was like, well, that's a pretty cool nickname. Like I Rockwell. Like I could rock with that. So then I just said Iowa Rockwell. It's funny. People always ask me if I'm from Iowa. That's the first question I get.
I
Like, are
mean,
you from Iowa? I'm like, no,
I
never
actually
been.
had the exact same thought.
Like everyone asks me, like strangers, like, okay, I get. Are you from Iowa? Like, nope,
Nope.
not at all. Far from it.
Oh man, that's cool though. Like, I guess it like makes it pretty simple. Like, this is where I grew up, so might as well be my kind of like my artist
Yeah,
name.
man. It's home. My mom still lives in the house. The house is still there. We still live there. There's like a little tavern across the street, Archie's. It's called Archie's Iowa Rockwell Tavern. Known those people. So it's got its niche right where it's at.
That's awesome, man. So you said you've been doing this for 20 years now. Like, how did you? I guess when did you get started getting into like music production, or like what was the journey?
Um, you know it starts it starts at the lunchroom tables, beating on the
Oh yeah.
tables. Because I had a couple of friends in high school who were in it a little bit more than I was at that time, and then once my cousin, my older cousin, Video Dave, graduated high school, went to college. His sister, my cousin, actually got him some studio time. Like she had a friend whose boyfriend owned a studio in the West Loop before it was the West Loop, and she was like, "Oh, you guys are, it's one of those like, oh, you guys are having fun making that music, huh? All right, here's a couple hours of studio time for your birthday. Have some
Nice.
fun, kids." It was really just like that, like that. Like I got a friend, here you go. So my cousin was making some beats at the time using Acid. I don't know if you remember Acid, the
No, I'm
DAW, the
not.
program.
I don't think I've ever used it. No.
Yeah, it was from Sony, I believe. Um, so we would make beats on Acid, and then we went to the studio one day and recorded. And it was it. That was it. Like one session was all it took at like 18 years old to be like, oh, I'm gonna do this forever.
Nice. Like you got hooked
Like,
immediately.
yeah, I'm doing this forever. Like, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter rich, famous, poor, money, like, no, I'm doing this forever.
So just to clarify, were you making beats on acid or were you making beats on acid? Because you can interpret it like either way.
That's very true. Let's say back then we were making beats on the DAW acid,
Okay,
and
cool.
now we're making beats on acid without the DAW. So
Oh my god, that's so funny. I love it. So I guess once you got started and you got hooked, you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing, right? What happened then? Like, how did that evolve, and like what did your journey look like up until this day? If you can kind of like maybe.
yeah, for me it was back and forth because like we started back in like 99 2000, and I was always the youngest out of like the crew. Our crew, we had like a 6-man crew.
Nice.
We called ourselves Third Islanders. It was one of my homies from high school, No Sage, a couple of my cousins, a couple of homies from SIU, Carbondale. And we all kind of just came together and formed this crew. And we would do shows all up and down Wicker Park, some college campuses. And we would do shows with a live band back then,
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
was like, it's rare to see. It was rare to see just regular hip hop cats doing live bands. Everyone
Yeah.
was over, just DJs.
Yeah.
Um, so that we did that for a couple of years. And as every crew does, they, eventually break
Right.
and split, and everyone wants to have their own creative, do what they want to do. So for me, I think it was '07 um, is when my father passed. And between 99 and '07, we had put out a couple albums and then kind of just like faded. Everyone was just kind of doing something, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
And after my father passed, I just kind of sped it back up for like maybe 3 years and just kind of went bananas. 3 or 4 albums, made like 200 songs, uh, and then went into a hiatus for like 4 or 5 years and didn't touch music at all.
So that's interesting. So after your father passed, so you were like doing like a solo, I guess, move at that point, or were you still kind
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
doing like a
So
band or
I was doing,
collaborations?
yeah, I was doing a solo move, but I was still working with, like the homies, the crew.
Right.
So we had even like branched off and did like a separate, like kind of group album we called the Umbrellas. That was like our group name. And it was like me and two of the other guys. And we were like, all right, we're the Umbrellas, you know what I'm saying? Don't get rained on. Uh, so we put out projects, but in that time I was still putting out my own projects. It was, I was making beats and I was producing, and it was just the energy. I had, it was kind of like the time I was in a house. I had an apartment, I had a perfect setup, and it was just go time.
Right.
And then life hits you. I got actually got, was it '09? I got laid off. I was working at a high school and I got laid off, and it was right before the summertime, and I was like, well, I'm getting unemployment. My bills aren't that high, right? I'm
Right.
like 24 years old. I got not much to do. So I literally just woke up and rolled into the next room to the studio every single day, like all summer long. It was just making music all summer long.
Dude, like this, some people like that's like their dream. It's like you have no responsibilities, you have no job, you're still getting
Yeah.
paid, and then like all you do is just write, produce, be creative,
Hmm.
make music, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
I mean, that's the goal, right? Just to be able to do it whenever you want on your time without having to be like, oh, I gotta go make time for this other thing that's helping me pay my bills to do this.
Exactly. That's
It's like,
actually like a very interesting point, because I feel like as a music producer, or any title in the music industry, right? It's a very common struggle up to the point that you're like, okay, this is my career and I'm actually making like a
right,
legit living out of this.
right.
You always have to juggle that, like, I need to have a job to pay the bills and rent and put food on the table,
Hmm.
to be able to support that creative side of me that
Right.
actually like is my passion and like my dream, and this is
Hmm.
what I want to do. So it's kind of like I,
It's
I,
always that toss up. Yeah. It's a
I
it's
hear
it's
you,
it,
man.
it's a heavy thing to balance. As you know, like it's heavy to balance because
Absolutely.
there are times when you're not making music and you're just at your job and you're just questioning it all. Like, what am I doing here? What like
Like, am I just
I know
wasting
what I'm
time
doing
here?
here, but yeah, am I just wasting time? Is it just for the money? Like, is it worth it? Like, you think of all these things. So that's always a tough challenge before you until you make that great crossover where like, all right, music is sustaining my lifestyle.
Right.
And I always tell people like it depends on what you want your lifestyle to be. If you want to live in the 18-bedroom house and this and that, well, yeah, you need to make this much.
Right.
But if you're like, no, I just want a one bed, a 2-bedroom house and a small, like, oh, well, then you can do that. So it's
Right.
really like, what do you want in the end? And then you can understand like, oh, music can get me that. It might not get me the dream stuff that other people dream, but it'll get me what I'm comfortable with.
No, that's very like, words of wisdom, because especially with someone who like just getting started, right? Like, you always look at the glamour, right? The glamour side
Right,
of things. Like, oh, like, Lambos and
right,
houses with
right.
pools, and you know,
Exactly.
but like, is this really like what you're after, or you just want to like, live like comfortably, but
And
your income is through your art, whatever
yeah,
that
and
is.
me and older, like once you get older, you start understanding because then you're like, well, I've lived a certain way up until now,
Right.
right? Like 30, I'm 39, like I've lived a certain way up until now. So if I could have just lived that exact same way, but let music pay for it, I would have been super happy. I didn't need the millions, right? I just didn't need to be at work while I paid, while I did exactly what I've been doing. So then you start realizing, like, oh yeah, I don't need that extravagance. I just need to be able to do what I'm doing now.
That's
Like
so
I'm
true, man.
comfortable now, so I just need this.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's all about like, perspective and perception, like how you look at things.
Yeah,
Like, you can be happy with what you have now, right? Like, be thankful and grateful. Like, hey, like, where you are right now and the things that you have right now, for other people that might be like that's their dream, you know. So like you're
Right.
living someone else's dream, and like when you
It's all
start looking at
perspective.
it from that point of view, you're like, oh shit, like I'm actually I actually have it pretty good. Like
Hmm.
I can
Yeah.
keep living with this and keep doing things. I don't have to
Yep.
like, you know, get myself in debt or like get a third or fourth job and
Yeah.
just completely like overwhelm myself. Like for what? Like you
Yeah.
have
I
it
mean,
good,
shit.
man.
Believe me, I've believe me, I've worked 5 jobs at one time before.
Oh my
At one
god,
time in my life, I've
I
had
remember,
5
man.
jobs at once. Yeah, I think I knew you, like, I had 5 jobs at once.
I think I remember
So
that.
I've been there, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I've
like yeah.
understood,
Like,
like,
how
hey,
do you
you
have
gotta do
time?
what
Like,
you
dude,
gotta
like, what do
do.
you do? Like, how do you even juggle any of that? Like, that's
I'll tell you
insane.
what I didn't do, music. And that's, it's like, I can't do this,
I
like,
didn't
my
do music
family's
and I didn't
working.
sleep.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man. So like, well, what's your approach when you produce like your own stuff, right? Like if you like just want to get like a more of like a behind the scenes look into, I feel like it's so different between
Mhm.
different artists and like
Yeah.
how that like creative flow is. Like when you decide like I'm gonna like make a track or like I'm gonna like start working on an album, like what's your process and like how do you like approach it?
Man, for me, I've always been more of a writer
Okay.
in my like artistic career and my artistic time, over a producer. So it's like I've dabbled in production early. I've done it, and then now I'm really ramping up on it now. But like writing has always been my core. Um, my lyrics, my words, my voice, like that's always been my
Yep.
core. Um, so there's different, obviously, as you know, like there's different approaches you take to different records and albums. Just sometimes off of what's going on in your life.
Yep.
Sometimes like I know there was me and two of my partners, Surfboard C and Topher Gray, we did an album last year in Vegas. To give you a real clear example, we went to Vegas, and our goal was let's just go out there, as three friends, three brothers. Let's just go out there and have a good time and bond and enjoy each other's time. But we weren't doing the Vegas thing. We stayed off strip at a little motel. So we went out there to make music, but
Right.
really just like kind of bond as a brother, you know. Um,
That's awesome.
so and what came out of it was an album, like a 10-track album that we made from start to finish within the weekend. Like we started on Friday, the beats, the lyric, everything from scratch, and then by the time we left Vegas on Sunday, the album was pretty much done. Like we had to mix it down and stuff, but it was pretty much done.
That's amazing, man.
So yeah, so every album's different, and for that one, that was like one of those like, all right, let's just come and enjoy each other's company, man, and build on something, a lifetime here. And what came out of it was like, whoa, that was something special. and then looking back on it, like it was a concept album too. So it was called the Electric Neon Weed Test,
Okay.
and it was kind of based off a book called Electric Kool-Aid Test. Um, but the concept was we'll go and we're going to smoke a strain of weed, and then we're all going to smoke the same strain, and then we're going to make a song and see how the effects of this actually, like the plant, like, oh, this, it's almost like research in a sense, like,
Right.
let's see what this does and see what it really makes us feel, as opposed to, oh, you just got high. Yeah, everyone does, but like, what
Right.
does this one actually do for you as a person? Like, how does it make you feel? What does it make you think and stuff? So we did, did that. We would record a song. We'd wait a couple hours. Everyone was mellow. All right, let's do this one now. Boom. Let's smoke this strain, and now let's record. And we named every song after the strain we smoked. So it was really
This
like
is so
it
cool,
was
man.
really like a feeling. Yeah, it's intense, man. It was really like the feeling of what it all brought. It was probably one of the most real experiences I've been in music. Just to be in that space.
I love it. I actually I don't think I've ever listened to that because
Yeah, I'm gonna have to send you the link, man.
is it on your Spotify?
It's on my Spotify. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, I'll definitely check it out because I had no idea that's like you had this like concept thing, and I
yeah.
really resonate with that because I personally love different things that are like outside of the box, and it's not like your typical you go like in the studio, you work on it for
Right,
months, and just like cool, like I have an album.
right.
Like this is like you decided, like you went with like your friends or your brothers, and just like you spent an entire weekend doing this
Hmm.
thing, and then you
Yeah,
have this product of that weekend. It's so cool, man. It's
it,
so
it, it really
unique.
is. It's like as whenever I listen to it, because that's a whole nother question, a whole nother topic. But like, how often do artists listen to their own music?
Right.
Like that's always weird in itself. But whenever I listen to that record, it immediately, for me, we've talked about it, I've talked about it with them, it immediately transports us back to the weekend.
Hmm.
Because it's like, for us it's a time capsule. For everyone else, it's music. It's good, it's bad, whatever. For us, it's like, oh no, this is making me remember the time we're on the couch and you said this, because it's a very unique time capsule that's like always
Absolutely.
gonna be there, man. So that one's very special.
I mean, yeah, this is one of those things that like if you manage to capture something like this in a form of art, whether it's music or like a painting or some other artistic piece, right? When it's like when you experience that art, it like takes you back to like a
Yeah,
specific moment in time, or like you can
right.
like hear the things or see the different events, or even like sometimes smells, right? You can be like,
Yeah, I
oh
mean, you
wow,
remember how
like
that
it just
food
like,
tastes that you ate during the lunch before you
yeah,
did this,
I just
and you
kind of like
remember
this
it
like,
all.
whoa, I'm like back in
Yep.
10 years ago, and that's this little motel, like just making music and smoking this random strains strains of weed.
Yeah,
It's like, it's
it
so
was
cool,
crazy.
man.
It was, I mean, we literally just locked ourselves up in the room and for hours, and only
I
went out
love
to
it.
like eat.
Right.
We didn't drink any alcohol. We're like, we don't want any alcohol,
Right.
and that's not what we're here for. We didn't go to this Vegas strip. I think we did go to see an art exhibit, um, a David Terrell art exhibit installation that one of my buddies put us up on. He was like, "Well, you gotta check this out. This is one of the things this is the only thing I want to do while we're here." And it was a very immersive art installation that was meant to like expand your thoughts and minds.
Wow.
So it was the perfect thing to do. The only thing we did in Vegas was that, and then go right back to the motel.
Oh
And it was
man,
like, this is great, man. This is exactly it.
I
I
I,
will
I
say
love it.
though, I've never been more tired after a trip. Like, I was in the airport waiting to come back home, and I felt like I was away from home for like a month and a half.
Oh
I
wow.
felt like I just got beat up. Like, I was sitting there, I was like, I'm tired, I'm drained. But then as you listen to the songs and the tracks, it's like, oh, that it's tough to go through a complete range of emotions for 10 different songs
Oh,
in a
absolutely.
weekend, and be sincere about it, because it's like, oh, I'm coming from a very real place. There were times when we would, all right, let's turn the music off. Like, we're just gonna talk for 2 hours as men. Like, people don't talk anymore. Let's talk for 2 hours and discuss some things that you might be uncomfortable with talking at home. Like, this is a safe space. Let's talk. And then we're like, all right, cool. Now we got to make a song because this is the energy we have. So it was very, very draining in that sense, but very rewarding also.
That's amazing, man. I really like that. Like I personally, like I said, like I enjoy different like concept albums, or like things that like you do that are like once in a lifetime in a
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
and it's just like have this special signature on it that
Hmm.
you will always
Because that
have.
moment can't get recreated, right? Like, you can always go into a studio and recreate a song, or like, oh yeah, that's the same vibe. But like, there's moments that just can't get recreated. That's
Yep.
one of those. Like, nope, that weekend's gonna stand by itself. Like, even if it happens again, that's gonna be a separate weekend. That one's gonna stand by itself for what it was.
Exactly. That's so cool, man. Yeah. So you said your main, your like in your core is lyrics and
Yeah.
writing. I guess what's your approach to that? How do you write? Do you think about things and then it like sparks ideas, or I'm always curious. Sometimes I dabble in writing, and it's kind of like for me, it's like like a spur of the moment. Like I'll think of a sentence or something that like rhymes nice together, and then like I kind of go off of that. But I wonder
Hmm.
like what it's like for you.
For me, I'll always have things going on in my head. So there's plenty of times when I just write them down, like you said, like, oh, that's a hot line, or that's a cool line, or that I want to say that somewhere, some way.
Right.
So I'll just write it down. Um, what I've tended to do, or what I've tended not to do, the older I've gotten and the more I've progressed in my music, is to come with pre-written lyrics. Um, unless like unless it's something I've been working on, like, oh, this is a written piece and I just need to find the perfect beat or the perfect instrumental for it. Otherwise, I prefer to uh, kind of take what the song gives me. Like, let me hear the song. Let me hear what it's telling me before I just like hear it, find the tempo, like, oh, I got something for it. Like, I don't even know what the song's telling me yet.
Right.
I have something that fits the tempo, but I don't know if I have it fits the song because I don't know what the song's telling me yet. So I like to hear the song, sit on it for a second, like, all right, let it work itself through me, and like, all right, now I know what I'm supposed to say to this song because it talked to me already.
Yeah, I understand. Do you ever like improvise or like
As
do like a
far
free
as
or like freestyle?
I don't freestyle too often. I freestyled some tracks that actually I've recorded. I freestyled that people probably wouldn't even know. Um, it's just it's just not my forte in hip
Right.
hop. You know what I'm saying? I love people freestyling. Like, I sit back and enjoy it. It's I found that when I freestyle, even when I freestyle to myself, I'll say something and I'm like, oh, I want to use that. So then it jumbles me up in my head when I'm like trying to remember that line, or like, I need to stop and just write this down. Like, that was hot. So I always, I always find that problem with myself.
That's interesting. I wonder if like other hip hop artists or people who like mainly like write lyrics or um, I guess like record their voice, just hit record and then just kind of like start spitting, like kind of like whatever
So
comes
I've done that.
to your head.
Yeah, I've done that on multiple songs. And even along those lines, I'll do that and I'll record, you know, I do that at home basically a lot since I record at home.
Okay.
I'll hit record. I'm like, all right, I got an idea, so let me run with it and let me get a little freestyle. But I know patterns. So I'm like also trying to find my pattern and cadence. So I'm like, oh, okay, I know exactly the pattern of or the melody that the bar should be. I know exactly the melody of how I need to say this. So let me get that down, and I'll record them. But na 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 na, but I'm just saying like sounds with the melody,
Yeah.
and then I'm filling in words as I say these sounds. It's like, oh, this word sounds good, so I fill this in. Then I listen back to that, like, okay, that's the melody. These three lines work. All right, cool. Now I got a construct to work off of.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So yeah,
So I do that sometimes.
yeah, because that's like for example, like like I make electronic music, so sometimes I have those sessions where I just like literally hit record and then I just mess around. Like I have
Yeah,
nothing planned, like no idea in place. I just playing around, like doing different samples, different presets, different instruments, kind of like doing some sound design. But everything
right,
is being recorded, and then like
right.
a few days later, I'll go back to it and just kind of like skim through and then, like see like what actually recorded,
What works,
and
right?
then like
Like,
find different
what worked out of that?
beats and pieces that like, oh, this is interesting, this is cool, and then I can reuse them or like
Yeah,
take that as like an idea for something else. So it's cool that you're doing something similar but like with lyrics.
yeah, yeah. My voice memo on my phone is filled with that stuff. Like 30-second, 15-second
Oh,
snippets of me just
absolutely,
like
yes.
getting down melodies. I'm like, oh, this is the melody I want. So let me just hum this melody, and then I'll come back and fill in the lyrics to the melody. Like,
By any chance, do you know who Harry Mack is?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, so like I love him. Like he's just incredible the way his mind works. It's like
yeah. He goes off on his freestyles.
it's insane. And also like people like just throw him like random words and then he'll
Hmm.
like put up this like super deep and like just extravagant like thought about like an orange, a dolphin, and a building.
Yeah,
And I was just like, what? Like what, how many
he
brains
goes
do you
all
have,
out.
bro?
It's man, it's it's super cool when you see like people who like him, like you see people who really know how to freestyle well, and then you start pointing stuff out and they just go with
Right.
it. And it's like, man, it's a work of art because it's like your brain is moving at a
Absolutely.
speed that, and you're talking so fast. So how is your brain moving even faster than that to get this all out,
I know, man.
coherently and in time? It's like it's special to see.
It's amazing. I love it. Like, anytime I see like one of his videos upload, I'm like, "Yep, I gotta watch that." And it's like the entire time, like I have like this like weird smile on my face that I just can't erase. It's like it's awesome. What would be probably like your main like top three challenges, like as as a artist, right? Like, what do you struggle with the most?
uh, as an artist, especially a lyricist, trying to find trying to find your voice. Really, like that was always that's always been a struggle. Like I've been confident in my voice, but then as time changes, you change and you grow, and then you might even hear some stuff you did, and you're like, oh, that didn't stand the test
Yeah.
of time. So it's really like it's really like just learning to be comfortable with who I am at the moment, because this is it. You know, I can't worry about future me, can't worry about past me.
Right.
Those things are gonna work themselves out. I have to be able to like, all right, this is who I am. This is what I'm comfortable at the moment, and that's always been tough. Because especially because rap is so fickle, man. People only want to hear certain things, and it's like, so I feel like it's been easier now that streaming and the the age of the age of the internet, the
Yeah.
information age. It's been easier because people are able to find their own music, and you're able to upload your own music. So like you said, you like Harry Mack freestyles. You could type it in and listen to them all day. As opposed to when we were growing up, it's like we didn't hear it on the radio, so I never knew who Harry Mack was. Like I was being
Yeah.
told who to listen to. Now, since I'm able to go find who I want to listen to as an artist, it allows me to just put out what I want, because if someone wants to hear it and find it, they're going to.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about like trying to do something to please a certain crowd because that's the only way I'm going to get heard or listen. Like, no, just do whatever you need to do, and it's out there, and the person's gonna find it when they need to and when they want to.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear you on that, and I actually talked about it in my previous episode, um, where like the with the streaming and like all the online options and opportunities that you have right now, it's kind of works for you, but also works against you, right? So
Right, because there's so many options, you know.
so many options, and also like you said, if you wanted to be heard, like you kind of like already know what the recipe is for like
Hmm.
what's popular, right? So like, hey, if I do something like that, it's gonna get on those like
Right, I
popular
have the formula
playlists.
for that.
Exactly,
Yeah,
playlists or like or streams or whatever else, right? But then if you want to like be do your own thing and do something that's not super popular and only will be heard if someone's like searching for it, then the
right.
algorithm is going to be like, I'm not really sure where to put it, so it's kind of like never gets
Hmm.
any streams or plays or views, and then
Yeah,
you
yeah,
get
definitely.
left behind. So it's kind of like, uh, it's hard, it's like I don't
There's no
know
doubt. I mean, because
right.
who wants to pay to be on a playlist? Not like, no, I'm not making
No,
my
no, no,
music so I
no,
can pay you to put on a playlist. That's the new game.
absolutely,
I hate it.
absolutely
You
not.
know,
No, 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 no.
I'm a big fan of Bandcamp.
Yeah,
I don't know if you mess with Bandcamp. You know, it's more geared towards artists. Um, it's more geared towards people who really understand music. You know,
right.
Spotify is like the
Mainstream.
generic one. Everyone has
Right.
it. Everyone listens to music. But then you have the people who like, no, I want to go search for my own good music. Then you have your avenues where they can do that at.
Yeah, it's like I feel like Spotify or like Apple Music. It's like the MTV of like the modern MTV. It's like the
Yeah.
popular stuff and like
Hmm.
everybody's and everything is on it.
It's the target. You know, it's the
Right.
target of the music stores. You know, it's you go there and you get everything, man. You just
Right.
leave, like nothing special, nothing crazy. Just go there and get what you need to get out. Like
Right. But if you
then
want
you go to your
something
little boutique spots, like, oh,
exactly, yeah.
where it's like this is the niche spot where I can find this exactly or this exactly and stuff. So
No, for sure. I mean, even back in the day when you like want to like go like record shopping and like you have to like go to
hmm.
this like bizarre stores that like you don't even know there's a record store like in the
Right.
back and only have like maybe like 50 records, but they're all like half of them are like white label. You don't even know who made it and when, and some of them are just like underground, like like limited
Yep.
edition releases, and then like that's the thing that you want, because nobody else has it.
Yeah,
Nobody else gonna play that, in a set. Like when you go to like a party
for
like
sure.
4 o'clock in the morning, you're like, holy shit, like what is this?
Like, yeah, that's crazy. Where that's very specific. When you're talking about records, like when you hear something and someone's spitting wax, you're like, you got this on wax? Like everyone has this on MP3 or
Right.
Wave. Like you have this on wax? Okay, that's special. Like it's not even like I've never heard the song, but like
Right.
you have the wax version? Okay. I respect it.
Oh man, 100%. That's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, and another challenge for me is like the actual producing part because I'm really trying to dive into that more, especially the older I get. Because I feel, you know, music's something we could do pretty much forever, man, until we're just not here anymore. You know,
Right.
God willing, like, people get arthritis problems, but like you can do music forever. You can be a creative as long as your mind stops, it continues to work.
Right.
So that's why I want to switch over, like, from lyricist MC to that producer title. So that's been a fun challenge in itself, like trying to really put my, sit in the engineer's chair
Right.
and put my producer's hat on, and then work with artists and not be the artist. So try to look at it from different views.
Yeah, it's a completely different experience when you produce for
It is.
yourself versus like, okay, this is like an actual gig. I'm doing it for someone else, and
Right.
if I mess
Right.
this up, it's like, someone else gonna be pissed at me. If you
Yeah.
mess
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
own mix up, it's just like, oh, whatever, nobody's
I guess,
listening
yeah,
to
I
it
gotta
anyway.
fix it. That's gonna be another couple hours. Guess I'm not going to sleep tonight. Even that's it. You just keep working on it.
Right. No, yeah, I've never produced anything for anyone else like ever, so that's something I might look into as well, like just to dabble and like dip my
Yeah.
toes in something else and just see
Yeah.
what it's like. Like, what if I love it, or maybe I hate it? And like, no, that's it, no more.
Yes. And at this point, it's almost like for me too. It's since it's more of a passion project than a financial
Right.
a financial gain. Like no, I'm still doing music because it's what I love to do. Um, it gives me the freedom to work with artists that I just want to work with.
Yep.
Because I'm not doing this. Like this isn't paying my bills, so I don't have to take your service. Like I don't want to work with you, man. Sorry, like we're not connecting. I don't get the good energy. Like I don't like your music. I don't have to record you because I'm not doing this. Like I need to record so many hours a week to be able to pay my bills. Like no, if I don't record
Right.
anything this week, my bills are still paid.
Yeah.
So that helps. Like oh okay, oh you're cool, man. I really like you. Like let's work. So it allows you to really be gives you the freedom of space to work with who you want to, as opposed to just having to do this because
Right.
stuff has to happen.
Having no like that time pressure or like specific deadlines can also be like
Hmm.
a good thing, because sometimes it can
Yeah,
also like hurt you if you have no deadlines.
yeah.
You're like working on the
Because then
same track for a year and then you're like, oh, what am I even doing?
right.
But in this regard, I think it's a good thing that you don't have those kind of like uh outside pressure to like get
Yeah.
something done, because you can be free and actually like work more creatively and like not think of all the other like
I
variables,
think it gives you a better product
yeah.
because you're doing it from a place, of your actual creative side as opposed to like, oh, this is a job now, so I just have to do this. It's like, nah, let me just take a second. I can sit back, I can play with things, I can just really feel free and expand on this.
Right, you
Um,
can you have like more freedom to experiment as well and be like,
right.
hey, like let's try like three different things and see like which one we like
Yeah.
best, right? Even if it
Yeah.
takes like a few more days or whatever.
Yeah, it's fun. So I'm actually like, weirdly enough, I said it last year. I was like, I want to produce an album, like, but I said it without really like thinking it's gonna happen soon. But like now, I'm like producing a couple albums for people,
That's
and I
amazing,
haven't
man.
like, I was like, oh, I've even stepped back like lyrically. I haven't really recorded anything in a while, but I'm producing a whole album for my cousin Crave, and then this other up and coming artist who's incredible, Aria Indigo. And with both of them, it's a great experience because I want to do it.
Yep.
I don't have to do it. I want to do it. So, like when they're recording and one of them be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I messed up," "Oh, third take, I'm so sorry," and I'm just saying like, "No, no, it's cool. I
Yeah.
don't mind. We can do this all day as long as you get it right. I want to do this. It's not
Exactly.
like, you got me on the clock. Like how much longer? Like it's a different energy that you're sharing. So
Yeah, dude, this is so powerful. Like it changes everything.
yeah,
Like when you want to do something versus, oh, I have to do this. So like,
have to do it.
we have 45 minutes left, man. You got to get those vocals right. It's like
Right.
it's not the same. Like put that pressure on
It,
the
it's not.
artists.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not. It's just not the same product. Won't come out. You know it. I know we've been there. It's like the same product doesn't come out if you don't have that freedom to just kind of work your way through it.
And if you think about it, like you can easily apply the same kind of like concept of thinking to like anything else in life, right? Like it doesn't have to be like producing
Hmm.
music, right? if if you're like working for whatever, like a software engineer, and like you want to like work on this project and like write code uh, into like the early hours of the night,
Yeah.
you will make something amazing and people will be like, holy fuck, like how did you do that, compared to like, oh, I have to get this project done by tonight or otherwise our
Right.
client's not going to pay us. It's not the same. It's
It's not
not
the
the
same.
same.
Yeah. I mean, you can take it, like you said, anywhere in life, any job. If you want to go to work, whatever job you have, whether it be a kindergarten teacher, a cashier at the store, like if you want to do it and if you enjoy doing it, you're gonna be the best. That's gonna be your best. If you just have to do it, like some people will do their best when they have to, but then they go want to do something else. So it's like,
Right.
oh, I love coming, I love coming to the store and being the cashier. I talk to all my locals, like, oh, you're gonna be the cashier I want to go to, the pleasant one, the one who's happy to do their job, not
Right.
the one who's like, yeah, whatever, man, take this. I'm getting off in an hour. I don't care. No one wants to deal with that person. So
That's
it's,
so
it's like the
true.
same everywhere.
And then, if you think about it, that like kind of like whether you want to do something or not, like it's 100% up to you, right?
Yeah,
Like it's your
for,
decision.
I always say it's your decision. Like you can people get I think people get confused when they're like, well, I don't have a choice because I have to do this. No. You have a choice,
You
right?
always have a
Like
choice.
you can quit that job. Well, I can't quit. I got bills. You'll just be behind in your bill. You have to get another job for it. But you can quit that one. Ain't nothing keeping you there. I'm not saying it'll be easy when you quit that job, but you
Right.
can quit it if you want to. Like that's your choice. So I agree with you there.
That's the thing, man. Like you can do whatever you want to do.
There's
Anybody can do
consequences and
anything.
repercussions. Everything's gonna have something to follow, but it is your choice. Don't get that twisted.
It's such a simple concept, but I feel like myself included, like we just miss that part, like where like we
Yeah,
don't think about it too much, that everything we do is our choice. Like everything, like the reason you're sitting in that chair in that room right now, like it's all because the choices that you made in your life that they
right.
led you to this moment right here
Yeah,
right now, right? Like you could have said no to the podcast, and then right now you would be doing
right.
something else. Like it was your choice to agree to
Yeah,
do this. It's
100%.
like
Yeah,
it
people have to
might be
take
like
that.
too like abstract, but like it's still like everything you do in life. It's because of your choices. Nobody's
Yeah.
forcing you to do anything else.
Yeah, I feel like people they look at the choice and then they look at what decisions or what may come out of that choice, and they feel like that stops them from having a choice. Like I say, I can't quit my job because then I won't have this and I won't have that. But okay, but that doesn't stop you from quitting. That just means that's what's going to happen if you do quit. There's a difference. But people use that as like, oh well, I can't because of this. Like, no, that just means you have to go another route once you quit or
Right.
once you stop doing that. You just have to figure out another route. It's simple, but it takes a
And
little more work. And people don't
yeah.
enjoy hard work
And besides, you never know what will happen. Like you can't say,
No,
"Oh, I can't do this because then this will happen." Like you don't know that.
right.
You
You don't know
assume
that.
that might happen, but
That's what
like
you're
again,
projecting on
right?
yourself. So
Yeah, man. Like
yeah,
the mind is so powerful, man. It's like I love those type
I
of
agree.
kind of like conversations when you just like really go deep on those things that like people don't just normally talk about on like your
Yeah.
daily conversation. It's like
Yep.
what really is going on, like deep inside there. Like how does it really affect like our lives and like the lives, the people that are like around us and like in our like immediate kind of like circle. And I don't know,
Mhm.
it's so powerful.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, man. Mind, you gotta help train. This is we're talking about music, but it's all about the mind, man. That's where it stems from. Like
I mean, yes, I mean,
one and the
eventually,
same.
yeah.
Like you gotta be able to, you can't keep your own mind in prison. And that's terrible. You gotta be able to let it roam as free as possible. Like that's how you're gonna get the best version of it.
So, other than the two albums that you're working on right now, do you have any other like projects or anything interesting coming up?
I'm working on a couple, here and like working on some solo stuff. Um, but I'm basically just kind of really trying to get into the production and learn more about my own DAW, like learn more about Ableton.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since now I'm leaning into more production. I want to figure out, you know, all the plugins and all the effects and how to actually use these things the right way. Because that's what I feel. That's always when we go back to challenge. That's always been a challenge. I feel like I don't even understand or not understand. I don't know the proper lingo because it's like when you're talking to somebody about something and it's like I know exactly what you're talking about. I know what you're doing, but I don't know the correct way to say it. I don't know the technical way to say it right. But I can do it. If you're like, oh, that's what you did. Like I don't know what that word is, man. But that's what I did, I guess. So it's even learning some of that, on the Ableton. That's really like my goal for next year is to really lock in and learn the program, learn the DAW, because I think that will excel my uh, my product, and my
Oh,
music
absolutely.
and everything without even learning anything new or without even being any more creative. Just being able to learn that more is like, oh, it expanded so many new sounds and different things that I didn't know I had and I was able to play with and work with.
Oh, absolutely, man. And
Yeah.
I think I mentioned that like in almost every single one of my podcasts. Like the more you have, the less you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like buying more plugins and like more effects and more things, not gonna make you a better producer or a better
No.
artist. It's gonna confuse you more because you have way more many
Yeah.
options now, and so like you don't even know what to do. But if you take it on the other hand and kind of like limit yourself, hey, I can only use like these two plugins and like these two effects, but now I have to
Yeah.
use
So I
them
have to perfect it. I
creatively.
have to learn those in and out. I got to know everything about it because
Exactly.
that's the only two I have. So I have to maximize those two. Yeah.
Exactly. You know,
So,
and going back to like an example of like if you give someone, you know, like an axe or like a hammer, and like this is the only tool that they have, you will learn how to build an entire house just using the hammer because you have to, because that's the only tool you have. But if I
right.
give you a truck full load of like of a bunch of different tools, you're not gonna make anything. You know, it's kind of like
Yeah.
weird, but
Yeah, you're gonna spend your whole time looking at the different tools. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this is cool, then this is cool.
right?
You give
Like,
each one
oh,
30
I have
seconds,
this,
and you're like, oh, yeah, let me check what else I got. Let me check what else I got. And then 3 hours, 4 hours go by, like, oh yeah, I didn't do anything. I just been looking through my library for
right?
hours.
The,
So
sampling the different snare
it's
sounds.
yeah, yeah. What are you doing? I don't know. I'm on snare 263 though. Sounds a little different than 61. It's like what?
We're laughing, but it's the reality of so many people. Like you know, like
Yeah.
myself included. Like I've done that so many times. Where just like sit down and then like go through all your plugins, and you're like, "Whoa, that's a lot." And
Yep.
then you know the next day you're like, "Oh, there's a sale. Cool, let me get this one.
There's a thing.
Black Friday early, 60% off. Sure, yeah,
Right.
count me in."
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Oh my goodness.
the goal is to to have the knowledge and the equipment. That's the end goal, right? To have both the knowledge and all the equipment, because then it's like, well, whenever I touch one, I can just go all in and have some fun, and then move to the next one. I know exactly
Right.
what I'm doing.
But then the beauty is, if you have the knowledge, you don't really need much equipment, man.
Don't need all the equipment. It's like it's a catch-22. It's
And
like, oh, I want the knowledge and all the equipment, but if I have all the knowledge, I can use like two or three pieces and get all the same sounds and the same effects and everything, like as I have it.
yeah, and you know, if you think about like any like soft synth out there, like they all can do the exact same things. It's just the matter of like how you get to the result that you want to get. The actual like technical approach might be a little different, but at the end of the
Right.
day, it's all the same. You know, like you only can have like so many sound sources and so many types of effects and so many types of compression. What
Yeah.
you use to apply those doesn't really matter.
And what's funny is like as a rapper, as an artist, a lyricist, I would hear beats and I'm like, yo, man, this is crazy. Like how they make this beat, this sounds insane. And then now I'm like, yo, putting this stuff together. And I'm like, oh, well, that sounds like that. Like it makes sense now. I
Right.
see how they made it. I just made it. But when you're hearing it, like someone who's just listening to music, they don't make music. They're just in their
Right.
car listening. They're like, yo, this is incredible. How did someone sample this and slow this down and do all this crazy stuff? And then once you start doing it yourself, you're like, oh yeah, I don't need too much to do this. Like I can figure this out. And you're like, I don't need this crazy equipment. I don't need this extra sample. I've done it already. I've done it here.
Yeah, man, that's very true.
It definitely puts everything you've listened to into perspective, because then it gives you the same where it's like you hear something, you're like, how did they do this? Because I'm trying and I can't do it.
Right.
I got all the equipment. I cannot do this. Like, how did you make this sound, or how did you do this? So, in the same sense, where you're able to understand some stuff a lot easier, there are some sounds and some are like, yo, this is special because I don't know what you did. You made
Right.
something crazy.
Exactly. And then that makes you kind of like want to dive deep and actually like, okay, I want to understand like the kind of like the magic, like what actually happens behind the scenes and why does this
Yeah.
track sounds amazing regardless of, you know, if I'm listening in my car or like on the Bluetooth speaker or like in my actual like studio monitors.
Yep.
compared to this one where it only sounds good on this particular system, and then you put it in the car and you're like, oh my god, I'm about to lose my
That's the worst.
hearing.
Yeah, yeah. That's man. We talked about that, man.
Right.
That's that's so bad.
It's a constant struggle, just like nailing down like how you mix and master your production or someone else's, like that's at the end of the day, that's what gonna make your track stand out and make
Yeah,
sound good, right? And that's what people want. They
yeah.
want something that sounds good.
That's part of it because I've whenever I produce or even recorded, because I've recorded myself for years, but it's always been me. So now that I'm recording other people and like mixing down their voice, it's like, oh, I could do this for me all day long. I've done my voice for years. I
Right.
know I know the levels for my voice. I know this. I know what I need to do for me.
Right.
Like your voice is different though. Now it's learning how to actually like really go in there and figure it out. By a per person basis
For
and
sure.
really understand
And then the more you
people.
do it, like the better you will become, it's like,
Yeah,
again, like you have to suck at something for a certain amount of time until you become good
yeah,
at it, it's like, and
yeah. I
you have
mean,
to embrace that, like.
it's the saying, right? I'm not paying you for the product you gave me. I'm paying you for the time you put in to become an expert to give me my product so fast. Like if they're like, "Yo, this is a $500, but it's done in an hour." That's too much. Well, you're not incorporating the 10 years I put in that I'm able to give you this in an hour. You can go
Exactly.
to somebody else; they'll charge you 200 and get you back in 2 weeks. Like I put the time in, so people put the time in for this. So you have to respect that
Oh,
and understand
100%.
where it's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
pay, you get what you pay for, right?
Hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with Fiverr. It's like a.
Fiverr. I recently just downloaded that app. A buddy of mine told me to because I was looking for some animation. I've
Right.
been looking for someone who does animation. So he was like, "Yo, get on there and look around, and you'll
Yeah,
find
basically,
somebody."
it's a perfect. It's like a social media for
Creatives in a sense, right?
creatives and not freestylers, freelancers, freestyle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Freelancers.
So you can just literally find anything there, like any type of artistic work, logos, animations, drawings, music, like audio, like whatever. It's all there. So like
Oh yeah.
I've gotten like some like logo work done, like some stuff
Okay.
for my like for my YouTube get done on Fiverr, like really
Cool.
really positive experience overall. But you look at it and there's like, I'll make a like an animation for you for like $10, and then the one next to it, I'll make an animation for you for $500, and you're like, it's like I'm getting the exact same thing, but this one
Right.
cost me like 100 times more. Why? Right? Like there's a
Right.
reason. And then
There has to
if
be
you
a reason.
actually compare, like you do see it's in the little details, and it's like how
Hmm.
it's all done. Like the final product, you're like, okay, cool, yeah, I can see this is a premium product versus this one that's someone just getting started and like they just want to like
Yeah, and
get
and
into
there's
it.
a time and place for both.
No, for sure.
There's a time and place for both. There's a time to place. There's a time to eat off the dollar menu and a time to go get steak and lobster, man. There's a time and place for both. So you can't. I don't want to be like, all right, I'm only the $500 and up guy. Nah, I'm here for your $20 deal sometimes too if it's done right. Like I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not opposed, but
I'm
but
sorry.
then
Did you
when you
say
can't
all you
complain
can
about
eat? Yes.
it, right?
I'll take two,
Right,
please.
right. Take two. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. All right, man. So one last thing is any piece of advice or tips that you would like to share with the world, and it can be anything you want.
Man, just be yourself, man. Be yourself. Your authentic self.
Love it.
Uh, and when I say that, I don't mean to be one person all the time because I don't think that's authentic. It's not authentic for me. I feel like people say, "Oh, you're not real because you're like this around this person and this around this person," but that can be someone's authentic self. Like
Hmm.
I'm a chameleon. I'm able to adapt in certain situations, talk a certain way when I'm around certain people. You have to be
Oh,
able to hold yourself in
absolutely.
different circles. So, but then there's a core that's still you. Like
Yep.
you might change, like, oh, I'll put a different coat on, a different skin, but like my core is still the same. But in 2020, man, like people just need to be authentic towards each other and be very real, because that's gonna help you lead. Like I always say, like let me know up front what you're about and give me the decision whether I want to continue talking to you or not.
Right.
Don't lie, don't lie to me until I find out, like, oh, that's what you really believe in. Oh, all right. No, like be very honest. It's your life. You're able to do that.
Right.
But then I'm able to be like, no, I don't want to be part of that, or I do want to be part of it. So Yeah, man. People need to be more real with each other, more authentic.
Amen to that,
And
man. Like this
you know,
is I couldn't agree more. Like, and especially to your point of like being a chameleon, like I definitely agree with you. Like depends on the situation and like the group of people that I'm with.
hmm
Like I will behave differently and like will be like,
right.
I'll adapt to like the situation. If you're like talking to like, I don't know, people that are like more like your friends and close to you and kind of like laid back, like you'll like use certain words or like use certain language or like
hmm
even the body language will be slightly different.
For sure.
But
For
if you're
sure.
like talking to someone that's like like a high up there, like you're gonna like be like more kind of like composed and you use like different words that you would use otherwise. It's like little nuances, little details, but
Yeah.
like you said, in the
Yeah.
at the very essence, the core, like the heart and the mind, it's still Andre. It's not gonna be someone
That,
else.
exactly.
I'm not gonna
Exactly.
pretend to be like, oh yeah, I'm on like this person, but then walk out of the door, I'm like someone else. Like no,
Right. Like
what's the point?
I'm saying like it's yeah, because the example is like, oh, okay, I could be with you and I'm like, oh yeah, Andre tells jokes all the time. And then someone else like, Andre, I've never seen him laugh. Like, oh, that's just not the circle. He's sorry. You're not, it's like, oh yeah, yeah. Well, whatever you must know from work or something. We're like, oh yeah, you guys are serious. That's a serious circle. It's like, oh, with us, he's the jokester, you know what I'm saying? Something. So it's it's how people look at it. That's being the chameleon.
Right.
That's being able to adapt. Like, oh yeah, I don't have to show, and you don't have to show everybody every part of you either.
No, of
Some
course
parts
not.
are only for certain people. Some parts are only for yourself. Even
Right.
like that you have to be able to hold something just for yourself and
Right.
be able to do that without being selfish or narcissistic. But you have to be able to just hold like, yo, this is for me. This part of me is for me.
Right.
That's how I get through. But people have to be able to do that, and especially this year, I think people have to be able to look themselves in the mirror and
Mm-hmm.
and it sounds funny and it sounds cliche, but like to be honest, I don't know how many people look themselves eye to eye in the mirror and then without being able to like look them. A lot of people will do it and they'll probably turn away real quick because they get uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure like if 10 people did it, they probably like, why am I doing this? I'm turning away. It's you got to be able to face yourself because if you can't, I
Right.
don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who else can out here, man.
I mean, it's so true. Like if you can't deal with yourself, like, who can?
Yeah, you gotta
you know?
know your own flaws. Like, you can't, don't lie to yourself. Like, yeah, this is my flaw. This is
Right.
my, this is where I lack. This is where I'm strong. Like, you gotta be able to know that about yourself.
And then you also won't be able to be real and authentic if you don't know yourself, if you don't
For
know
sure.
who you really are, how you can be like real and true and honest and
Yeah,
like authentic with someone else, like a stranger, a
yeah, because it's
friend.
already.
Like how
Yep, for
you,
sure.
you
Because
won't
you,
you won't be able
you
to.
don't have anything. You don't have a base.
Right.
You're calling always just floating. It's like, oh, I don't have a base that I can always, plant my flag in, and then figure out how I want to react in the situation. If you're not real with yourself, you never have. You can never plant your flag. You're just always floating and adapting. Like, oh, you're just changing every time because you don't have a bait. You don't have anything to stand
Oh man. Dropping some true wisdom right here, man.
on. Dropping the knowledge, man.
Oh man. Well, we're coming up on our time here. I really, really, really thank you for being here. It's been a
Thank you,
pleasure,
man.
an honor.
Yes.
I missed just hanging out with you. It's been so long,
Yeah.
and hopefully soon, man. Just
Post COVID,
hang out. Maybe do some collab work together. That
jam.
would be fun.
Yeah, man. Jam and get down.
Yes, for sure. All right, brother. I love you. I hope you
Yes, sir,
stay
man.
safe. Thank you again for
Love you, my
coming.
man. Thank you. Thank you for
Peace,
having me. It's
and
been a
see
pleasure.
you in the next one.
Yeah.